Look, everybody knows my story, and anybody that falls like me really has two choices. You say, okay, I quit. Or you say, hang on a second, I'm a proud guy. More importantly, I have a family. No, I'm not going to quit.
And my brother's advice to me was get used to losing. You lose all the time. If you take it too seriously, you kind of get stuck in a hole and you can't move forward.
Today's show brought to you by Roka. Now, Roka has invented a completely new class of eyewear, glasses optimized for performance. No other eyewear brand can keep up with these guys and gals are doing. They just keep making their stuff better and better. Their prescription glasses have the exact same technology as their performance glasses. I have a pair of the readers, actually I have a lot of pairs, and they're the best damn glasses I've ever put on my face. Unbelievably lightweight, the best optics on the market. They never slip, no matter how sweaty you get, like I do. Not only is Roka working with special forces, they test their stuff with the best athletes around in the harshest conditions on Earth to make sure that they're going to work for you. And by the way, hand-built to order in our hometown of Austin, Texas. The Forward listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, that's ROKA, Roka.com, and enter the code FORWARD at checkout for 20% off. Also today brought to you by AG1. Morning routines are critical to me, and one of the most important parts of my routine is drinking my AG1. I drink it before working out, right before making my coffee, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day, like I'm doing something good for my body. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and is backed by multiple research studies. So you can trust what you're putting in your body. I trust AG1 because unlike so many products, their entire formula is backed by research studies and not just the ingredients. And what I like to say, folks, it's all about taking control of your health. This is one product that I trust to support my whole body health. It is AG1, and that's why I've partnered with them for so long. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of Vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 Travel Packs with your first purchase. Head on over to drinkag1.com/forward. That's drinkag1.com/forward. I went to the opening last night of the kitchen.
Thank you.
I didn't know what to expect.
Great. What did you think?
Well, look, so my wife is from Colorado, grew up in Fort Collins, went to CU.
Yeah.
My daughter went to CU, just graduated a couple years ago. So we have a lot of your neighbor, Robin Thurston, is one of our founders in our portfolio. So I spend time with him. So I spend a lot of time at Boulder, and I have sort of this love-hate with Boulder, as the world knows, or the people that I love Boulder, but there's a part of it that's, anyways, we go to the kitchen a lot in Boulder, right there on Pearl Street. And so I went to the opening of the new kitchen here in Austin, and I thought, great, we're going to have a new breakfast and brunch spot. And I walked in, and I'm going to get to other impressions I had, which were all very positive. I walked in, I thought, wow, this is not a brunch spot.
Yeah.
This is fine dining. I mean, I'm a poor kid from Plano.
Yeah.
Like, this is fine dining, and the decor and the furnishings. I said, whoa, this is not like the kitchen on Pearl Street. Very different. And I loved it. I mean, I'm a snob.
I can explain that journey, actually.
Yeah. I'm a snob when it comes to aesthetics. And
what did you think?
I love that.
I spent so much time on that lighting.
I love that dark
that
vibe.
glow, that beautiful warm glow.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
I didn't need to take a bite. I was like, and my wife was with me, and she too was surprised because she loves, when we would go see Grace in Boulder, like that was religiously, we went to the kitchen.
Oh, that's great. We really have become a part of the furniture in Boulder. We're just, people treat us like their kitchen. Yeah. They eat out all the time with us. And the journey was interesting. We've always been we did breakfast in the old days, but we moved to lunch and dinner, but open all day, essentially open all day, and a bistro, like a casual bistro for people to enjoy. And we were always considered high end, but not not high end fancy. Like high end, you can come in with shorts. Yeah. You'll still have if you want, an incredible bottle of wine, or if you choose to instead, you could have a shared plate at the bar and just get out of there with a more smaller tab. So we've always had that flexibility. But what we've noticed, what we were forced to notice over COVID and just the return after COVID, is that people are just not in offices as much.
Right.
And so lunch business really just went down by 80%. And so over the past few years, we really have become an evening spot. And thank goodness it's gone very well. People love our food. The shared plate experience is wonderful. And so that led us to say, well, if we're going to do Austin, and, I look around Austin all the time. I do hope people return to offices, but they aren't. And so we said, let's just do dinner to store. We're actually only going to be open for dinner for a while.
Yeah. 4 p.m. on, I read it. It came in Axios today. The local Axios had a piece on it.
Yeah. And so we'll do it for a while. And we believe people will love our dinner. We'll be open from 4 p.m. on. Yeah. We're a community restaurant. We still want people to be able to come in with their shorts on, and you want to wear a tuxedo. You do whatever you want. We've got something for you. Good. We have the bar area, which is really meant for boisterous. Do whatever you want. No expectations of how you arrive, or just chill and enjoy yourself. Then we have the main dining room, which will be used more like the kitchen in Boulder, where it's shared place with your family and friends. Yep. But what we added in Austin is the wine room in the back, which is this quieter, more booths, very much about having a very more serious conversation, maybe a bigger bottle of wine. And that is a new thing. So the first 2 sections we've done in Boulder and Denver and Chicago. And then this new section we've added. And we feel like we're really embracing the high end side.
It looks it. And the thing I should also add is, and this, but the service. Of course, I haven't been to the one here in Austin yet, but the one in Boulder. I mean, everybody is wonderful.
Thank you.
The most playful. We
work so hard to encourage that culture. This is all intentional.
Lessons or what it is, or coach them up, but we don't go out a ton, but when you do, it's just kind of fun to fuck around with the way, they play.
Yeah.
I've always had such a great experience.
Thank you. We really encourage our service to build a small relationship with the table.
Yeah.
Read the table. How you doing? Oh, you guys from out of town? You guys live here? Maybe make fun of one of the dishes a little bit. You're gonna like the fries, but the problem is you might want to order 2 orders because they're so good. Yeah. So kind of having fun with it. Yeah. Rather than being more of a stuffy waiter.
And the food thing for you, I don't know how. I mean, I knew the connection with the kitchen, and obviously that connects you to food, but I didn't know your history with food and cooking, going all the way back to when you were much younger. I did not know your connection to food via 9/11 and you being there. You said it in your remarks last night.
I was there.
You started talking last night. I said, whoa. I knew we were talking today, and I said, I didn't know any of this. So I'm grabbing my phone and taking notes, and but just being there alone is crazy.
Yeah.
Getting out of there safely, awesome. But coming back and cooking for the firefighters, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. It was one of the most beautiful experiences. You got to appreciate when the ground zero happened. So woke up to the planes hitting the building, managed to escape, watched the first one fall. I couldn't even see the building because I'm so close to the World Trade Center. You can't see the first one fall. Mm-hmm. You just saw this giant white cloud coming towards you, and you are running. You are just running. You do not want that cloud to hit you. And we managed to miss it by maybe half a block. And then we got to Union Square, and that's when I watched the second one fall in front of my eyes. And it was like reality breaking. It just wasn't possible.
No.
It really broke something in me. Like I was just, wow, reality's not what I thought it was. I'll never forget it. It's reality was breaking for me.
We're not in South Africa anymore.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm back. Because that kind of stuff was a bit more reality back there. But the millions of people who were trying to volunteer, millions.
Right.
And I had a security pass because I lived so close. And my mom was a well-known dietitian, and they'd called her to ask her to either volunteer or to suggest people that she could recommend. And she said, "Hey, my son has just graduated from cooking school, and he has a security pass." And they said, "You know what? We've just too many people in line. We got a lot of other people to call." And then they called back about an hour later, and they said, the team would appreciate someone who's just willing to do anything, not like a famous chef. Because most of the people who were cooking, they were quite famous chefs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll go peel potatoes. I just wanted something to do, because it was 16 hours a day of, sure, peeling potatoes, doing whatever, but actually it was also processing trauma, because you've just gone through the most traumatic experience of your life. Yeah, and you're doing it around people who are doing the same thing. And slowly but surely, I worked my way up, and I did get to cook with these incredible chefs. So I got a lot out of it on the cooking side. But my favorite thing was I got to a point where I would drive the food to this makeshift gymnasium that turned into a cafeteria. You put a cooler on the back of an ATV. It's as simple as that. You drive it down to where the piles of metal were very close, and you go into this gymnasium. You unpack the cooler. You lay it out, and you're serving one plate at a time, because I was a just recently trained chef, but I'm with world-class chefs. Mm-hmm. So we're not serving it in like tin trays and things. No. They're plating it. They're doing their beautiful. There was this particular dish I remember was a dill sauce, and it was like beautifully presented with salmon. And these firefighters who have never, they live in the Bronx or they live wherever, they don't eat this kind of food.
Right.
And they would come in with this gray look about them. They have dust on their shells, so they take the shells off, and they just completely gray look from being in these piles of melting metal for hours. And then within 45 minutes, because that was their break time, we bring them back to life. And then they would just start talking with these people, with each other. They would start with no conversation. Yeah. And then they would start talking, and the energy would come back.
Yeah. And you've talked a lot about how, at least the stuff that I've listened to in the last few days or read up on, what food, how food brings people together, brings conversation alive, almost this fellowship of sorts that I think is kind of lost. I mean, everybody has busy lives. We have busy lives. I have young children. I've read all these stats on the best things you can do for your kids. I mean, you always read those stats. Sort of 3 things for a parent that's suggested for a parent to do with a young child is daily reading with them. And maybe that's even younger, but some sort of reading activity together, eating together, and some sort of spiritual time together, right? But that gets lost. Like even now, I mean, our kids, I shudder to think how many times they grab their phone and order DoorDash and just get this crap.
So I have to say that's one thing I don't allow in my house.
I think it's smart.
We do family dinner every night at 6:00 if I'm home. I'm not always home. Yeah. But it is no matter how busy my day is, which can be really crazy. I am there at 6:00, and the kids are there at 6:00. And now my kids are now in their early 20s, and I have 2 teenagers, but they're also the kids in school are home, but the older ones, it's back when they visit. Mm-hmm. They all know at 6:00 that we are having dinner, and there is no one is not there, right. And when I don't show up, they hold me accountable.
Right, of course.
They're like, "Hey, where are you?
This was your rule.
This is your rule," and they also miss it. They want it.
Yeah.
And so I really, if I'm absolutely unable to do it, which can happen, I'm letting them down. And that reciprocal relationship of, hey, this family dinner is important to all of us, is really beautiful.
And then the way that, and this is always the struggle. Our kids are the ones that are at home. I have 5 kids. So the 2 that are at home are 14 and 15. But the way that it's structured, it's one thing to say, okay, we're all going to sit down at 6. Yeah. But if 3 out of 4 of us are sitting down at 6 and looking at our phones, and
no, we also don't do phones. Exactly.
Yes, right. I mean, that's.
Well, and by the way, the other rule we have, which actually makes life easier, is that dinner can be 5 minutes long, but there are no phones. And when you really need to leave or you need to check your phone, dinner is over.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But you don't need much more than 5 minutes to actually eat the food.
Yeah.
And what happens is 1 out of 10 times it is 5 minutes long because something is really going on. Like I have something going on. I've got a really serious thing happening. And or even my daughter who's 12, has a lot of homework. She needs to finish early. That happens, but it's 1 out of 10 times. And then another 1 or 2 out of 10 times, we might talk for 2 hours.
Yep.
Because there's something to talk about.
Yep. Yeah.
That's just to kind of preserve the ritual so that you can occasionally get those real conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, I got to go back to the event last night. 2 reflections on the opening of the kitchen here in Austin. Because I moved to Austin in 1989. So I graduated high school in 89 and I pretty much loaded up a U-Haul and moved to Austin from Dallas. So I've seen a lot of change in Austin, and we moved away for 5 years. And that was really from 2018 to 2023. So there we had significant change. But my 2 reflections last night were if that opening was 20 years ago, I would have known 75% of the room.
Okay.
If the opening was 10 years ago, I would have known probably 50% of the room. 5 years ago, 25%. I didn't know. I just missed Peter Attia. We were valeting and he was walking out. That would have been the only guy I knew.
Wow.
So this is so that's
like a new city almost.
It's a new city. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great crowd.
Yeah, it was a great crowd.
But I kept looking around going, my God, I'm just looking. Like, I don't typically look around, but last night I was like, fuck, I got to find somebody I know. There has to be somebody I know. I just saw a guy I know walking out. I'm looking around. I mean, this is a new city.
Yeah.
So, which is good. And I'm not of this camp.
The energy was clearly
was great.
A new energy. Like they're all, the optimism was amazing. There was a blend of younger all the way to older, but everyone had energy and they're all excited for Austin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was speaking and talking about, my why, and we mentioned 9/11, why I believe in community food, how powerful it is. But when I mentioned Austin,
you talked about my affinity from Austin.
Yeah.
Well, everybody there. Yeah. It led to that. Oh, I guess his brother moved here. Surely he's got, even I thought that, but that's a whole nother topic. My second impression was you have created this with the hat.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that I didn't get a formal invitation. Courtney just asked me to come, or maybe I did. I don't know. If I did, I didn't open it. But maybe the formal invitation said you have to wear a Kimbal hat if you're a guy. If I had $1 for every dude knocking off your look.
It's great. I mean, people look good in cowboy hats.
I agree. But, even when I was parking, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? No, I didn't get the memo. Must wear a hat. Must wear a Kimbal hat. No. I know you saw it.
So the theme was Texas chic. It doesn't mean you have to wear a hat, but clearly people felt like the hat was the right call.
You have inspired this entire look.
Well, I think that I've really revived it because Texas, this is a Texan look. Yeah. What I love about it is I did buy my first hat in Allen's Boots in Austin, and I got it through some Texan friends that really, so I did a lot of work on farms back then, and I was borrowing this farmer's hat, and he had these kids who wanted me to get my own hat because they didn't want me to wear my dad's hat. It's useful. You need a hat when you're out there, but it's kind of gross. You're wearing someone else's hat. I didn't really mind, but the farmer, he's got go get him a hat. Right. So we went to Allen's Boots and we got this same. I use about one a year, and then I hang them up on my office wall, and actually at the restaurant I hang them now on the wall. And these are really well used hats. They're not like. Yeah. I use them till they're beaten down.
That back section that you just talked about, that's a quieter, more serious section. Like I don't love crowded rooms. Courtney warned me that there was a lot of people here. I was like, oh boy. Ended up it was chill. But so I found myself in that back room because that's where I just feel safe. And you had the hats on the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I should just borrowed one.
You totally. Yeah. So, and it's I think the other thing that I find funny about it was I got into it in 2015, so almost 10 years ago, and I live in Boulder, Colorado. I hang out in LA or New York or Chicago. Really, these are blue states. And I had actually several people say to me, you're wearing the hat of the enemy. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? This is an American hat. And they're like, oh no, your Texas is not friends of. Right. They would use those words. I mean, I don't really grasp the logic, but I was like, no, this is America's hat, and I wear the hat because I love America. Huh. Yeah, I'd have quite a few of those conversations.
You created I guess I have to go down to Alan's Boots.
You got to go to Alan's Boots and get yourself a hat. Take a little time.
Liz right here, take a bit. She took some friends of ours visiting from Germany to Alan's Boots recently.
No, it's such a great store, and they put so much love into that store.
And for that part of town, just to digress, I mean I'm glad that it's on South Congress for those who don't know, which is when I moved to Austin, you would not go to South Congress. Totally.
I heard it was pretty rough.
And then Liz Lambert came along.
Liz Lambert is one of the most, definitely one of the best designers in America that I'm aware of. But more than that, she takes risks with her design. Yeah. She's not trying to impress people. She has such soul in her design.
And she's wonderful.
Wonderful human. Yeah,
she's wonderful human.
That's actually another reason I love Austin is Liz Lambert, John Carver, Larry McGuire. Yep. They all reached out. They wanted to say hi, welcome me to town. What can we do to help? Yeah. It's just a welcoming town.
Yeah, great product.
Yeah.
She's just great.
She's just great.
And Larry, by the way, Larry's a very close friend. I mean,
they're great. Austin's got this team of rock star restaurateurs, and they're friendly and they want more. The thing that John Carver, he actually flew out.
You alluded to them last night in your remarks.
John flew out to Boulder to check our restaurant out to make sure we were a fit for Austin. He didn't want us to come unless he thought we were going to do well. I was like, wow, that was very nice of you. Yeah. And Liz actually did the same thing. She didn't fly out, but she went through all of our menu and she's like, I think this will work, that won't work, some real advice. And it just felt like they cared about us being successful.
Yeah.
And that is a special thing about Austin.
Because it just seems here in Austin, and I'm admittedly getting reacquainted with what feels like my hometown, but there are people that you are just sure are going to succeed. And it just does, for whatever reason, it just doesn't. And,
I've had to close quite a few restaurants, and sometimes it doesn't feel right from the start. Sometimes it does, and it can still struggle. COVID, of course, was the main reason those restaurants closed. It just was just complete nuclear bomb in the restaurant world. But but one last night, I really felt the energy. I feels like it'll be well received.
Speaking of food, we saw each other at Sanjay Gupta's event. It's been Life Itself was 3 years ago, maybe. You were there, you presented, and you were on stage, and you cooked this. I mean, even I was like, what is he doing now? I mean, this.
It's cultured meat. So it
was chicken.
It's chicken. It is chicken in every way. It's basically chicken that is produced in a cultured lab or plant. What's the right word? Factory, I guess. Yeah. You're growing meat instead of growing chickens. And it's 100% chicken. There's no additives. There's no. It's just chicken cells.
No conditions.
There's no inhumane conditions, and there's nothing in it but chicken. And so it's all about how do you grow it in a way that it has the kind of texture and flavor that people like. And so it was fun. I cooked this lab-grown chicken on stage. I had a little bit of lemon, a little sage, and some butter. And
I think everyone
had a taste.
Yeah, everybody was surprised.
Yeah. And it tastes great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does that get weaved into some of the restaurants, or that's a whole separate?
Actually, funny enough, the founder of that company was there last night.
It's called?
That one is called Upside.
Upside.
Yeah. So he was there last night, and I asked him, are you selling to restaurants yet? And they're not ready yet. They're still working on the product. Mm-hmm. But I think at the right time, we'd be very open to trying it. We are 100% focused on enjoying your meal. Mm-hmm. So when you go into your head a bit, this is lab grown meat, that kind of takes you away from the connection. So for me, it's about, does it taste better?
Yeah.
Does it make you enjoy your meal more? Mm-hmm. So I prefer to keep people in that community feeling when they're in my restaurant. Because that's really what we're doing. We're taking care of you. You get to get a night out. You get a night out from the real world. Mm-hmm. You get a night out with your wife or your partner, and we let us take care of you. So very much about that, and at the same time, I'm a big supporter of doing things that are more humane for the animals that we raise. Yeah.
The other event we and this was the nonprofit event you do. Do you still do it in Aspen?
Yeah, Big Green. That's beautiful.
Big Green.
Yeah.
At the ranch down valley there.
Yeah, thank you for your support. You've come many years.
Yeah. It's a fun time, and I we can talk more about the initiatives and what you guys do. But I'll never forget that night, because I think the bathrooms were outside. We were in I'm trying to remember this. This was a barn thing, but we were inside, and maybe the bathrooms were outside. So I went outside, and it was the most incredible rainbow.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Whoa.
And nobody was onto it.
Yeah.
And so I went to the bathroom, and I was like, I know I've had a couple drinks, but it's like somebody, this is fake.
Yeah. We actually moved the whole dining room. So you came back and
I came back inside, and I told my wife, and I said, fuck.
You got to see this.
You got to go outside. Like this is, and she went outside, and then the next thing you know, our entire table went outside. And then next thing you know, exactly. Everybody's outside.
It was literally stop the programming. We got to go see this. It was one of the most beautiful, unique.
And it sometimes the rainbows 5-10 minutes. It just stayed there.
Yeah. In fact, it actually started to have a double one as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, you did the goosebumps are just like rising in your body.
The best bathroom break.
Yeah. Right.
It was unreal. And it's not like I said, I'm not a rainbow aficionado.
No, of course. But how could you not?
It took my breath away.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Ketone IQ. HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, mental focus, and sharpness, putting you in flow, lasting for hours. And by the way, they've got some new flavors out. I tried a very new flavor this morning right before my ride. Amazing. 30% off your first subscription order plus a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/forward. That's ketone.com/forward. Also today brought to you by OneSkin. Now I'm 53 years old. I've spent probably 40 of those 53 years outside, pedaling, running, swimming, suffering, all the things that come with that. Dry skin, deeper wrinkles, all these things are just a few of the visible signs of aging. And this is something today's sponsor, OneSkin, knows all about. I gotta be honest, I'm not overly concerned with aesthetics, but I do want to keep my skin healthy as I get older. That's why I love their topical supplements. They actually help your skin feel and behave younger as you age. OS1 is scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. Now, here's the deal. Don't just take my word for it. They've got over 4,000 5-star reviews for their full line of face, body, sun, and travel size products. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using the code FORWARD at oneskin.co. So what is Big Green? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Big Green, our mission is to help.
This is the other thing where I think as kids are now, and irreversibly so, dependent upon devices and indoor stuff and just shit that we didn't do as children.
Yeah.
By the way, we almost share a birthday. You were born 2 days after me, a year later. So we're fellow Virgos. When we were kids, we were outside.
Yeah,
like, all the time. Go outside, get dirty, go fall off your bike, get back
TV
up.
even for me was not. It was apartheid South Africa, so it was like dictator TV. You don't watch you don't watch propaganda TV if you're a kid. This is the most uninteresting stuff ever. So you literally don't watch TV, and you're outside and hanging out with your friends all the time because that's the only thing to do.
Yep.
And I do think that, but it's a combination of the advent of fast food plus TV that happened in the 80s, 90s. It's really been sad. So we have so many children going into kindergarten obese. I think 40% of kids go into kindergarten obese. It's just so sad. It's not something that they did to themselves at that age. They didn't do that to themselves. That's done to them by society. And so I started Big Green as a way to connect kids to real food. And we up until COVID, we built 650 outdoor classrooms that are on school grounds, teaching kids science and math through the growing of food. They're all edible schoolyards. And when COVID hit, we were not allowed to do the work we're doing. So the schools were closed. No outsiders allowed on school grounds, even after schools reopened. And so we started to talk about how could we help? And they said to us, if we have local nonprofits versus a national one, because we were pretty big. So they said, if you can partner with a local nonprofit, they can come in because we know who they are. They're in our community. They're not bringing COVID in from another part of the country. And so we created this concept called a DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization where we recruited nonprofits to join a community. And it's a crypto term. We do use a lot of those technologies, but we've also learned to simplify it. So using the blockchain became a little too complicated. The IRS doesn't approve of it. So we are using the crypto world's technologies, but not the blockchain part. We might go back to blockchain at some point when it is all approved. But the idea is that I raised almost $10 million towards it. And this $10 million treasury is now decided by this community. So it started with 6 nonprofits. There's a limit to what they can give, but they then chose 10 to get the next round of funding. That's 16, then chose another 20. We went to 36. That 36 chose another 25. And over the past 3 years, we're now at 175 nonprofits. And, what in order to join, you have to be approved and receive funding. So it's not like you pay to join. It's the other way around. And then once you join, you get to vote on who should receive funding. And so it's a beautiful model where we work with the front lines. These are all people on the front lines, very small nonprofits working in local communities. And they also have this feeling of being able to give money as well. They're not just receiving money. So it's this beautiful power sharing dynamic that happens. And with the DAO or the crypto philosophy of sharing power and transparency, you know exactly how you're sharing power. It's not like this vague thing pretending you're giving you power. No, it's actually written down in a white paper. This is how it works. And people start to trust it. And then out of that trust comes community, which is really my love. So I love helping people grow food or connecting kids to food because we need that. We need our kids to be healthier. But what I love, and this comes back to the restaurants, I love community. I love that I'm in Austin and opening a restaurant because it's the best way to connect to community. It's the best way to bring community together. I love it. I truly love community that is created through food. And so now with Big Green, we've been able to really line it up with my true passion, which is community. And watching, so once a year, this whole DAO comes together in person and they talk about the strategy for the next year, which is a blend of fundraising strategies, as well as who should receive the funding, what direction they should go. Very thoughtful. I mean, so thoughtful. And it's truly is a DAO. Like, I don't have control of it. It is a living organism with its own control. I had to, about 3 years ago when I signed the document to let it happen, it was me letting go of control. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I could feel it, even right now, I can feel it in my body, the feeling of not losing it, but intentionally letting go of control. Because I really want things to succeed. And when I'm in control, I can usually make it succeed more often than I'm not. And this was just an active decision to let go of control. And I didn't know what to expect, including worrying that it would be a total disaster. And what has happened is absolutely beautiful. It is such a wonderful, it gives me such optimism for the human race, because we have Black people, Native Americans, we have mixed race, we have Hispanics, we have white people. These are all low-income communities, so it's more about income than about your ethnicities. But as a result, it is a very blended ethnicity, and they're all debating, but they're debating from a place of love and moving back to your thing about moving forward. Right. There's so many things you could be a victim about. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd love to hear more about how moving forward, because what most people are doing is living in the past. Yeah. And most people feel like a victim of some form in the past. And to be honest, I raised money as a nonprofit for Big Green for 10 years. It's hard being on the receiving end, because you're just trying your best to explain to a funder why this should be received funding. Yep. And it can really start to you can really start to get a victim mindset, frankly. And I'm really good at getting out of that. I have the good fortune of needing. I didn't need to raise money for a salary. I wasn't paid, so it wasn't that. It was more about getting support for the cause.
Yeah, the hustle.
Exactly.
It's soul sucking at times. I mean, we did that with Live Strong. It's hard.
It's hard. And yet we were quite successful. So it's like, okay, I get it. I get what that means. And when I opened it up to this DAO, which are nonprofits on the front lines that are all fighting day to day for their fundraising to just keep them going. And these are folks that might earn 40 or 50K a year. They're not like bureaucrats that are middle managers getting $250,000. They're doing the work. And I was curious if they would come at it from the victim mindset or not. Right. And they didn't. Yeah. They came at it from a sense of optimism, from a sense of, wow, we get a chance to do something different. They're not saying that what they were doing before was not hard. It was very hard. But they're so excited to try something different. And it's the in-person connection that I saw. They all want to learn. They want to learn from each other. They might want to learn Excel spreadsheets, frankly. They might want to learn how to do a PowerPoint presentation. These are like skills you need to learn. And they're all teaching each other. Yeah.
Like you taught those bankers in Toronto, 30 years ago. I heard that story. Yeah. That's for another podcast. But I got a kick out of that. The pencil and paper. No. Just write it down. I think there's a better way.
I think that's a better way.
Well, that's a modern approach to nonprofits, right? And so, but
it's in fact so revolutionary that we've even gotten negative feedback from the funders because the funders don't want to let go of control. And so now my job is not raising money for the DAO, which I can raise money at relatively decent levels. It's convincing the funders who can donate at bigger levels that it's okay. You can let go of control a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, you asked me, and I'll give, because you asked me a little bit before we sat down, and we just touched on it, this idea of moving forward. It actually, the name of this podcast is The Forward. It actually does tie into more of the way I view it, a modern times.
Yep.
And for me, moving forward, look, everybody knows my story, and everybody knows all parts of it, right? They know the rise and they certainly know the fall. But we live in modern times. And so, but I'll park that for a second. Anybody that falls like me really has two choices. You say, okay, I quit, right? The world told me that I have to quit and I'll quit. And, or you say, hang on a second, I'm a proud guy. I have, more importantly, I have a family. I have 5 children. I have a beautiful wife. No, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to take some time.
Yep.
And at some point I have to figure it out because of all those things I just listed, primarily that family. Then enters the modern piece. And this is what I just started having conversations on this show, right? Because I had decided to move forward and play offense. And if my situation had happened 30 years ago, right? Or 20 years ago, I wouldn't have had an option, right? So, but we live in a modern society where anybody can create content, right? So, well, I'll just start having interesting conversations, right? And it seems easy enough. It's some mics, upload them to all these platforms that are out there, all of them, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, Google Play, et cetera, and see what happens. Right?
Well, I think that America in particular, and this is so special about America, it's not the same in other countries, and people don't appreciate it because you live in America, you don't know the difference. People in America embrace fresh starts. Mm-hmm. The bankruptcy system in America is obviously devastating to go through bankruptcy, but it's actually designed to give people fresh starts. Mm-hmm. Okay, you screwed up.
Right.
All right. It's very embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go through it. Painful. Okay, on the other side of it, fresh start.
Yeah.
You want to figure it out again, go for it.
Yeah.
And it's actually an intentional
we'll give you the
system
chance
to give people second chances. Yeah. And America is beautiful that way.
Yeah. And that was it. I mean, and it's really been the theme of my life the last 10 or 11 years is I've got to figure out a way to move forward because of all the things I listed. I'm proud. I'm not a quitter. I'm a fighter.
You're definitely a fighter, and you're not a quitter.
I have a family. Speaking of food, how am I going to put food on the table for this family? So it was just and all layered in with the ability, and you so eloquently said. I mean, yes. And the way I think about this and describe it is, the world gave me a chance. Whether it's yes, America gave me a chance. And it's special. And so that's to answer your earlier question before we got on here is just, that's really how do we move forward? And so many people, look, it doesn't have to be me.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty extreme, a very extreme fall from grace. But I decided to reimagine and reinvent and move forward. But somebody could fail out of school. They could get fired. They could lose a child. They could have things that are so terrible to think of. And all of those folks have the same 2 choices. Do you just quit, or do you just figure out a way to move forward and heal yourself and as I said, reimagine and reinvent? That's hence how we, and from there, the world said, okay, we let you run that play, run another play.
Yeah.
Right. So I start the pods and then we started the cycling podcast, which I was sort of joking before the show. I was just vehemently opposed. I thought, fuck it. I am never talking about cycling. I was like, one day on a whim, let's do a cycling show.
Sure.
That show blew up. And then the world said, okay, run another play. And I launched the venture fund and invested in 21 great companies and continuing to invest and raise a new fund, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, wow, but to your point, like that doesn't happen if they don't start throwing you some passes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was, blessed. But I think it was the perfect time, right? If it was 20 years ago and these microphones didn't exist and those platforms didn't exist, I'm kind of just, if you can't build back, because what happened when these started, both of them really, then the audience came, and then then people said, wait a minute, people are listening, right? And so.
Well, it reminds me of something that a piece of advice my brother gave me that was when COVID hit and we were forced to close our restaurants, and it was devastating.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely devastating. It's not just, restaurants are never like the best way to make money, right? I mean, it's
right.
the joke is like how to make small fortune.
There are a few, but
yeah, like there are a few. I mean, and we do fine, but it's my passion. I love what I do, which makes it even more sad when you get into a restaurant that is usually very busy and there's no one in it. No one, because people are afraid. They're actually afraid. And so we had 18 restaurants. We had to close 15 of them. And my brother's advice to me was the phrase, get used to losing. And I was like, what do you mean by that?
Right.
You lose all the time. If you take it too seriously, then you kind of get stuck in a hole and you can't move forward. But if you get used to it, then you can lose a lot of battles every day, all the way through the day.
Right.
And you kind of don't get lost in the hole.
Yeah.
But you accept the loss. That's another important point. You don't try and pretend it's not a loss.
Yeah.
And then you get used to it and you go, okay, what did I learn? What did I learn from that?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, I'm a victim, I got lost in that. No, I am learning from this loss. Yeah. And so I learned a lot.
And you learn resilience, because
absolutely.
I'm grinning because I have this just so resonates with me. I mean, I have a whole thought around the word yes, and believing that the world is just going to say yes, right? You're going to wake up every day and whatever your idea is or whatever your pitch is or whatever you're asking for, they're all going to say yes. Yeah. Well, we all know, they may for 6 months straight, everybody might say no. Of course, those are all little mini losses. That's okay. The key for me, at least, and I don't think it's that different, is you go to bed at night, you wake up every day and say, today's the day.
Yeah. That's a great.
I've refined this thing. I got it right. Now's the day. Yeah. Today's the day. They're all going to say yes.
Every morning.
Yeah.
I wake up and I play the song Lovely Day. Every morning, no matter how much I wake up and go, wow, I didn't sleep well. I'm so stressed about something. Press play on Lovely Day.
Yeah.
And by the end of the song, I'm like, what was I even
Bill
thinking
Withers,
about?
Right? It's a Withers song.
Bill Withers, yeah.
Bill Withers. And he's got that, there's that it's beautiful. It's such a great song, but I love this song. And then there's that one piece of the song where you can't believe that he can hold that note.
Yeah.
I'm like, surely they engineered this. Like, the guy must have the biggest lung capacity of any human alive.
Yes,
folks, go listen to this song, and you'll
Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
You'll realize when he hits this note, and you're waiting for the guy to take a breath.
Yeah,
I'm like, this dude should have been like a diver or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He does not take a breath.
Yeah,
that's great.
I got to see Bill Withers in his last concert a few years ago in Carnegie Hall.
Special.
And he's passed away, but what a legend.
I heard his wife, I listened to Sirius XM a lot, and I think his widow and his daughter were on for about an hour doing sort of a guest DJ thing, and it was wonderful. And I can't believe you said Bill Withers.
But it's a great way to start the day, coming up with a positive attitude, saying yes.
Just
music.
Believe.
Music is the best.
Yeah. But don't ever forget, folks, the importance of you, whether it's you or me or anybody listening, of saying no, right? Because no means, not in a negative way. No is a powerful. I think no is the most powerful word in the English language. And as we preserve our time and in order to capture time, you have to say no.
Yeah.
And no is, many of us say yes too much. I
train that to my teams, my companies. I train that to myself and myself and my wife. The way I do it is I really work hard on why I'm doing something.
Right.
Like, why am I doing a restaurant in Austin? Mm-hmm. I'm doing a restaurant in Austin because I care about the community of Austin. Yeah. I'm spending time here. It is one of my gifts to do a beautiful restaurant. I've gone through very hard times on the restaurant, so very hard for me to even imagine opening another restaurant. But why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I want to be part of Austin.
Yep.
And I love Austin. I love the people here, and I want them to include me in this community. It's my way of
Well, I saw all the people there last night, so I think you're good on that part.
But also I know what to say no to.
Right.
Because if someone says, "Would you like to open a restaurant in Miami or Atlanta?" The answer is no, because I know why I'm doing it, and that power of no is so important because people definitely like you and I, but everyone is being asked all the time to join someone else's cause or to support something in some way or to put their energy towards something. And it's great to put energy when it's in line with your purpose.
Yep. That's right.
And it's also one of the most powerful things to say, but from a very honest place, no, not right now. I'm sorry. Yep, this isn't a match for me.
Yeah.
It's a gift you're giving it to someone. In fact, I say that to people is yes is the best answer. When I'm asking for help. Yeah. Yes is the best answer. No is the second best answer.
Yeah. A thoughtful no.
Yeah, sure. And maybe is the worst answer.
Yeah.
Because they're holding it in their head all the time. I'm holding it in my head all the time. No, just give me a yes or a no. If you can. I mean, not sometimes you need to think about it, but maybe is the worst answer.
Love it. Let's talk about Tesla for a sec, because I have another personal story. So I've never had a Tesla. As a matter of fact,
that's what Tesla outside.
That's Liz's Tesla, but I'm going to get to this. That's Liz's Tesla, and she's driven that Tesla for. And the people that listen to the show, they know Liz Kreutz. She's photographed me for, almost 30 years. So everybody knows Liz, but she's had that Tesla for years. I'd never even driven a Tesla.
Wow.
And I'm not shitting you.
Wow.
And I've got 3 older kids. They obviously are been old enough to drive for a long time. And I have a 15-year-old boy who is getting his license in the next few months. And I said, well, what kind of car do you want? And he said, I don't really know. I don't really care. And I thought, well, what about a Tesla? Because I'd heard enough stories about how safe the car is. Yeah. So as a parent,
the safest car in the world by far.
Right. As a parent, you're like, that would be the worst phone call you could ever get.
Absolutely. And I actually have had a very close family member in a Tesla accident, a car accident with a Tesla. Yep. And she would be dead.
Right.
If not for the Tesla. Yep. And she escaped with some minor bruises.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yep. So I said, yeah, that'd be cool. And then I started to learn more that I can sort of see how he's driving and the speed, or if he's driving erratically, I can control that. I thought, well, I like that too.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the car's safe. I can see if he's driving crazy. Okay. This is all good. So I go online. And because I was thinking it might take a couple months, but anyways, I get this email that said, your car will be ready Monday. And this is a couple weeks ago. And I thought, cool. So we now have the car, the Tesla. He doesn't have a license for months. Everybody in the family has fallen in love with it. And I also got notes from other friends of mine who have Tesla. They said, just be careful, because you will never own another car.
You'll never own another car.
I said, what do you? I said, listen, I've driven like Suburbans and I have a Grand Wagoneer just so I can load all my shit in right now. And they're like, you'll never have another car. I said, these people are crazy. So anyways, this thing comes to the house. They dropped it off for us.
Yeah.
And my wife she has a car.
Yeah.
She has an Audi Q8 that my son doesn't, she has stolen his car.
It's amazing.
The poor kid, he's going to eventually get this car. It's going to, I don't know. And I have hardly driven the car because my wife will not let go of this car.
Yeah.
But I was shocked the times I've driven it. And again, having never driven one, it drives completely differently. Just that it's hard to explain. I mean, it's not a go-kart.
I think one of the things I'd love to share here is that people don't realize that Tesla offers free test drives. Yeah. So you want to experience what you have not experienced in years, but now you're getting to experience. We offer free test drives. Just go to one of our stores and take the car for a spin.
Yeah. It'll surprise people.
It will.
And I'm not talking about performance. It's just the feel.
Everything.
Yeah, the performance is amazing.
It's not a better car. It's like a BlackBerry versus an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. Now, I actually used a BlackBerry and I actually held on to it for a couple of years when iPhone started.
Don't get me started.
And then after a while, I was
BlackBerry.
like, I got to give up now. The iPhone
smart.
is just so much better on so many other levels. Yes, do I prefer a keyboard? I've forgotten even what a keyboard is like now. I'm fine without a keyboard. Right. But it's more like that. It's more BlackBerry versus iPhone than it is. Like they both make phone calls. Okay, great. Both cars will get you. An Audi will get you the same place as a Tesla.
Yeah.
When you're in a Tesla, you're like, wow, this is different.
Yeah. I guess my big takeaway when I first drove it is that it doesn't coast. If that makes sense.
No, there's a setting.
Well, I liked it.
But there is actually a setting where you can ask it to coast more or less.
Okay.
It's all software.
Well, guess what? Guess what?
But the reason you don't coast is it regenerates the batteries.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why it's set on that way. But you can choose to say, I want to regen less.
But as I said, I've not had a chance to figure any of this shit out.
Yeah.
Because my wife.
Yeah, she's still in the car.
Anna Armstrong.
That's awesome.
But the no coasting thing, I don't know what I was like, this is good. Like if especially for a 16-year-old boy or any young kid. Yeah. It just kind of keeps you with like it. I thought that was part of the safety feature. I'm not.
It's set up that way automatically, and then of course you can change it.
I'm not changing that because I think that's good.
Yeah,
and then of course the performance.
It regenerates the batteries as well,
and the integration with somebody. Just I guess your brother or you or the team or whatever just sat around and said, well, what is possibly what would somebody think of like when they're driving the car? Like, oh, could I do this? Or what if I had? It's all there. I mean, y'all are right.
And we continue to come up with new ideas every time because that's what we do. It's the difference between, let's say, an Audi or a Mercedes or a Tesla is a computer with wheels.
Right.
So when you have a computer with wheels, you can continuously update, work on software releases. You update over the air. To the driver, they don't even know that they're getting a new car every few weeks.
The fella who dropped it off, I believe his name was Chris. He said he was telling a story of his Tesla getting an update.
Yeah, it
got longer range and better performance.
Yeah,
and the car never left.
And there was no there was no price, no cost to the customer. Just we learned how to operate the batteries better, so we're going to give you this upgrade, and it gives you another 10% battery.
Yeah,
it's truly it's a company that is a constant startup, constantly working on making it better.
I'm a huge believer. I have so many things. I've made all these notes. We started talking about all this interesting stuff. We were talking about mapping earlier. I'm a huge fan of maps. The one thing you were telling Lex about y'all's first company, Zip2, and I caught this little, it was kind of a throwaway in there, but it was tied to Hertz's Never Lost.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like the car, your rental car had this probably, I don't know.
Well, actually that thing came later. So we built a company.
Nobody ever used because
we built a company called Zip2, and we got to know this company called Navtech that was building this for Hertz.
Right.
And the idea was what we all saw a few years later with these little clunky boxes that were maps and stuff. And, they said to us they had literally $300 million worth of investing in this mapping technology and door-to-door directions technology. And we said to them, do you know there's this thing called the internet?
Right.
And they're like, not really.
Right.
And so they let us use their entire technology base, their entire mapping system, and apply it to the internet. For free, no charge.
Yeah, you said that.
They gave us a one-page thing that if we ever make money on it, we got to call them.
Give them a little bit.
And it now that company Navtech now powers Google Maps and everyone else and stuff. But but on my personal computer, Elon was the coder, but I was the kind of product guy, so I was like working on the interface. My brother and I were both the first people to see in person. Maps, like live maps and door-to-door directions, like appear in front of us, telling you turn by turn directions on how to get somewhere. it probably took 60 seconds. It didn't take as fast as it was much slower back then. Even at 60 seconds, you just couldn't believe it. This is not possible. This exists. Right. It was incredible. And then several years later, it did go on to Hearst Never Lost. But by that time, people had the internet and barely used it.
Yeah, even in our world, I mean, when we train, I mean, going back 20, 30 years ago, we had paper maps. We lived in Europe. We would try to find this road. I've never been on this road. This road looks quiet. Let's go ride out there. Not so quiet. Oh, wow, this is a great climb. We'll throw this in the repertoire. I mean, it's without that, we don't have things like Strava where people can go in. And I mean, I could spend a lot of time talking about maps, but I just had to chuckle at the Hertz thing, because I would, if I ever rented one of those, I was like, "Who the fuck is using this thing?" Like, there's no. I mean, maybe when they first put them in there,
well, they just missed on timing, because the technology came in 5 years after people started using it on the internet, and the tech was it was like almost 1980s tech.
Well, but Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $70 million.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Folks, let that sink in.
Jesus.
70. I'm going to say that one more time.
Oh, wow.
Blockbuster. Nobody remembers. People are like, what is that? Blockbuster Videos had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $70 million and backed out of the deal.
Yeah.
How'd that go? How'd that do for you? You had a great quote. I read somewhere, and going back to this idea of food and fellowship, you said the definition of a good party is when you laugh and cry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful learning. So
people love to sit around and laugh. I talked to a guy the other day. He says, I cry probably once a year. I thought, man, that's no way to, I mean, I don't want to count how many times I cry. I mean,
I really believe in letting yourself go to that place. Of course. And oftentimes it's tears of joy. Don't get me wrong. It's not just, it's emotion. You're letting the emotion flow. And
I like to call it elasticity. It's just, at least
you're letting your
part of you is alive,
flow,
and things can come in and come out. And
last night when I was speaking in the restaurant, telling my story of 9/11, I felt the emotion rise in me, and I let it happen.
Because you have that elasticity.
And it was real emotion.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then when I took a moment to thank my wife and called her my American dream, that was real emotion.
Yeah.
And that everyone can feel. And of course, they're having a blast the rest of the night. But for that moment, they drop in emotionally. And that to me is a great party.
Yeah. I too want to be sensitive that, I mean, your name is your great grandchildren.
Yeah.
It's like Rockefeller, Rothschild, Kennedy, that's it. For the end of time, that name will, for good, bad, whatever, forever time will resonate. Right. So I wanted to be sensitive to, because you are your own man.
That is honestly hard to wrap my head around, but I believe you're right.
I think we're right. I do.
Yeah.
Unless I don't know plenty of crazy shit could happen, but you're your own man, right? You've created all these great things. Yes. I love the stories, or reading about the stories, or hearing the stories of you guys. And I especially loved the stories of growing up in South Africa
we also had a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it was military dictatorships are not great.
Yeah.
I've done my research for anyone listening.
No, it doesn't pan
when
out.
you get a chance and you are offered to go live in a military dictatorship, don't do it. Yeah. Apartheid was a military dictatorship and it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. But the meditation piece, because my wife asked me, what kind of meditation does he do? And I said, honey, I don't know. He said he takes a little time, 15, 20 minutes just to reflect. And by the way, I don't do meditation.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
But I have, maybe we all have our own.
Maybe
form.
biking would be a version of meditation.
Right. I actually say that to people because half the time I joke, well, that's my therapy, but it's not a joke.
Yeah.
Right. That is my therapy.
Yeah.
That's my place.
That's a version of it.
And it's whatever place you need to be in to have this clarity or just this elasticity. Right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. And I said, well, I don't know. I'll ask him. So she's a big meditator.
Yeah.
If that's.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we before dinner. So we had dinner at 6. It's sort of around 5:30. We meditate together, and it's a prayer. You know, for me, for me, I have a direct relationship to God in my own way, and it's just me. I'm no particular religion that I connect to, and I sit and just feel the love of God, and I then listen to the thoughts that are in my head with that love of God around me. So it's not from a place of I would say many times there's a part of me that's like, why am I here? I don't need this. But what I remind myself is, for those other times when I really do need it, I have the ritual.
Yeah.
And so when I meditate every day, for many times I'm like, I'd rather be hanging out with my kids, or I'd rather, or your mind just says you'd rather be somewhere else, because meditating can be sometimes an unproductive thing, and actually for 15 minutes a day, it's okay to not be. So, but when I need it, I'm just so grateful that I have it. It really helps me process some very, very difficult things.
We have so much going on. I mean, I think that's...
Yeah, so much going on, and I really embrace my emotions. So if I feel sad, I don't distract myself. I want to feel sad. I want to feel it. And I've learned that I can sit in sadness for as long as possible, and then I can't after that. And when I look at my watch, because I don't usually look at my watch at the moment, you're talking about 2 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Now, 2 to 5 minutes sitting in sadness really sucks.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's pretty sad. But then you're out. And you're like, process that.
Yeah.
You know, so I really embrace that. I embrace processing fears. Yeah. And then the other one is I embrace processing joy.
Yeah.
You know, I opened the restaurant last night. It was a great success. I worked on every tiny detail. Every light bulb was carefully chosen. There's still work to be done on some tiny touches here and there. Obviously, every part of the menu, I'm working very closely with the team on. The servers, I know them all by name. And that's how I wanted to make sure and create something great. But afterwards, I meditated.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I saw you. I mean, that room was, I would have needed therapy after that. I've been in, those rooms are tough.
Yeah. Well,
that's energy, right?
But I went to meditate and actually sit in the happiness.
Yeah.
The fact that people loved us. They wanted us. They wanted our restaurant. And I've opened restaurants where I get there and I do that same kind of a speech, and I feel the energy's not there. Yeah. The energy was there. So I also take the time to celebrate those emotions. It's really opening yourself up to all of your emotions, and meditation for me does that. Yeah.
If I were you and left, I would have needed a nap. I would have had to go straight to bed.
I mean, I did actually go straight to bed.
Yeah,
I was exhausted.
That's exhausting. So
yeah, but I mean,
kudos.
When I say exhausting, I was giving my energy,
of course, but
then I need to rest.
Right, you got to plug in the Tesla.
I'm always careful with my words, because exhausting can sound negative.
No,
but I've given my energy. I need to rest. That's really looking after myself.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. We totally agree on that. I'm good. Yeah.
Well, this was wonderful.
This is so great.
Yeah, this feels like the nature of the conversation very much about moving forward.
I mean,
and you really are living. The podcast is living its mission.
Yeah, and now, mind you, it's not dissimilar to what we just talked about. It isn't simply that the world gave me a chance.
Yeah.
Because that happens, right? It's what you do with that chance. And I've really spent, yes, we can talk about getting thrown a pass and being able to run with the ball. But it's another thing when you said, okay, I have taken a step back as a person who it's not simply that, right? This is, with that comes, a set of expectations that I've created. And so therefore I need to work on certain things. And I've just devoted a ton of time to not just moving forward physically and as a person or as a brand or as a business. But it's been an interesting 5 years of just, especially 5 years. I mean, it's been 11 since it all came down. But the last 5 of saying, hang on a second. It isn't that. I need to unpack a lot here. Yeah. And it isn't just the last 11 years. It's the last 53 years. That's been the best part. And
that's great.
And that's in that part, the work that I have done, and I talk about it all the time with folks. I mean, that part has really enabled me to move forward in the right way.
Well, I would reflect you. I can feel your vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
and vulnerability is what people want to see. Yeah. Everyone can put up a front, but when you put up a front, other people put up a front. And when I feel your vulnerability, that lets me be more vulnerable, lets people listening be more vulnerable. Like, hey, well, they can then feel their own times when they've gotten a second chance, or they've done something that they regret, and it's okay that they're vulnerable with it because you're vulnerable with it. You're kind of helping people in their own. You're doing it in a way that, of course, is your second chance, but actually it resonates.
And as an athlete, and I was an athlete my whole life, it was it's all I ever knew, right? Athletes are trained and will anything to happen. If you're talented and you work hard, I mean, you will will it to happen. You will win. In this phase of my life, you cannot will this to happen. Yes, you have to want it, and you have to be all of the appropriate things, but you can't muscle your way through this. It's a different muscle. And I touched on it. It's this elasticity thing, and it's been such a fun journey. And I know,
I think we're all better people for it.
Yeah,
you kind of you get what's the right word? You get taken through, and I've been through the ringer in my own way, in different ways, and if you pick yourself up again afterwards, you're actually a better person for it. Yeah.
Kimbal, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's been great. Good luck with by the way, when does it open? When can
November
I go
14th. Opens November 14th to the public. Really excited for people to come in. I would love folks to come in.
I need the bat line.
You got the bat line. Don't worry about that. You got that. But the for us, most important is we really, really value reviews. Yeah. So when people do Open Table or Google or whatever, we just they know it. We read every single review to the detail. Yeah. We're looking for 5-star reviews, but you do whatever you need. But give us detail in your reviews. We read every line.
That's amazing.